Yeah, we're excited to open up with a big time game. A top five opponent, and just excited to go to Charlotte. It's a great home base for our fan base, and we've got a lot of Georgia alum that live in Charlotte, and it's a place we haven't gotten to travel very often. So, playing Clemson's a traditional rivalry in the history of Georgia Clemson games, and I know everybody's excited about it. We certainly are, and we want to find out a lot about our team. We've been able to play ourselves for 20-something practices, and now it's time to go get to play someone else and find out a lot about ourselves.
I just wanted to ask you, with you guys having to rotate centers through fall camp because of Warren's injury, and I know he's doing better now, and then Clemson also rotating centers even up to the point of the game on Saturday. They're talking about rotating centers. How much does that impact, what the burden is on the quarterback in terms of setting protections and making run calls and things like that versus the center doing it?
I don't think it puts a big burden. I mean, most people's centers will make those calls, and the quarterback's got the ability to override or change things. So, regardless of which center's been in there in fall camp, that's his ID, that's his decisions, that's the calls he makes, and the quarterback can override it. So, it would be tough if you have a completely new center or a center that hasn't. Like, if you take a guard that hasn't made those calls and you make him the center, that can be tough, right? If he's not making the calls and all of a sudden he's got to go make them. But we have two guys who that's what they've done for an entire year. I mean, they both worked at center a lot last year, so they've done it for a quality amount of time. It's no greater pressure on JT, regardless of which center's in there, because he trusts both those guys.
I was wondering a couple of things. One in particular about defensively tackling. Since it's so limited in the fall, how hard is it to judge on how good of a tackling team you are heading into a season?
Oh, it's impossible. I mean, you tackle live, and everybody does it different amounts. You're only allowed to do it, a certain amount per NCAA, but some people don't even maximize that because of the safety issues involved. When I think pretty much everybody in the country would tackle live at a scrimmage, but you're allowed to do it in some practices as long as it's not 50% or greater of that practice. But you get better at tackling by tackling, and we tell our guys all the time it's harder to thud someone the proper way in practice than it is to tackle somebody, because thud, we don't want them grabbing jerseys and slinging guys down and doing that. We want them to step on their toes and get chest to chest and thud them, and that a quality thud is harder than a tackle to get a guy to the ground where you can grab a body part. So sometimes that makes it tougher if the kids do it right. Now, obviously, in a game, the speed of the game and the quality of the athletes you're going against sometimes is better than the look squad. So it shows up a lot. It shows up a lot in space, and I think it's one of the most critical parts to this game is who's going to tackle well in space and who prepared the best to tackle in preparation for the game.
I heard you earlier in the week, Coach, talk about the wide receiver core, and you said you were very excited about their potential. What makes you at least excited about the potential you have at the wide receiver position heading into the year, Coach?
Well, we're young. We've got a lot of guys that are just gaining experience, and then we've got some guys with experience that are bouncing back. From camp time, they weren't available or were injured, and so we're kind of in a different spot at receiver, more different than we've been in the past. But I'm excited to see them go play. I mean, there's a lot of young players that have played well in camp, and we're excited to see them go compete and play. And the way Clemson plays they're aggressive. There's going to be opportunities. You've got to take advantage of those opportunities, and they do a great job with their pressure packages and their disguise packages of attacking your protections. So you got to do a good job at quarterback of knowing when and where to take your chances and take your shots.
Hey, Kirby, you said yesterday that Clemson keeps the pressure on you offensively. Could you elaborate a little bit on what Dabo's teams have done that might be a little unique and that maybe you don't see quite as much in the SEC, or that they do maybe a little differently than others?
Well, I think any good offense keeps the pressure on you, and we faced a lot of good offenses in the SEC, and we faced Clemson in the past as well. in my history of seeing those guys. They do a great job of, number one, they have good skill players. So when you have good skill players, the pressure's always on, right? I mean, they've had incredible wideouts as they do this year. They've got elite backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. And they've got really good tight ends, especially this year. They've got a veteran group. So the pressure comes from the players. It's not just the schemes, right? They're a attacking offensive group that knows how to get the ball in the perimeter in the run game. They know how to run the quarterback, and they build plays so that, if you're stopping one thing, and they've got a complement off of that same thing. They build their play action game each week to where their play action game is married up with the runs. So if they've got a really good successful run, you better believe they're getting ready to come back with a play action off of it to get you to bite up on it. And we talk about eye control, eye violators. Everybody in college football right now is attacking defense's eyes, and if you take your eyes off the right thing for 1 second, it can be an explosive play. So they do a good job of attacking your eyes.
Hey, Kirby, can you do me a favor and break down your middle linebackers a little bit? If I'm trying to say Channing Tindall is X, and Quay Walker is Y, and Jacoby Dean is Z, what are their strengths and how do they differ? And, tell us a little bit about maybe Rion Davis and some of the guys we haven't seen as much, if you would.
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I mean, it's a good group because they have some depth, and we've been able to rotate guys in through that core. I mean, we have a Mac and a money position, a Mike and a Will position, right? So they marry up, and you say, well, what's the difference? They're really interchangeable. I mean, we've gotten to the point where our defense, you can't have guys that just play one, right? Because injury, a guy's got to go play the other one. So the two are really interchangeable to the point where we don't even take them and line them up anymore like we used to. We tell them, you're just left and right. You got to be able to play both. So whether a team has trips to the field or 2x2, we let our linebackers play, and they have to understand the coverage multiples based on where they line up. Now, if you're talking specifically about the players, Jacoby is the alpha guy, leader of the group, communicator, does a really good job. Quay has come so far since getting here. I mean, his development from the time he got here to now, and just the way he's changed in terms of, man, I'm not playing, I'm frustrated, to being an alpha leader. And he went through some injuries in camp and missed some time, but he's getting back now where he's back comfortable and healthy, and been really pleased with him. And then Channing is a veteran guy that's played really well for us. Channing's really fast and athletic and can run. So those three guys kind of head up the group. And then Ryan Davis, Tresman Marshall's had a good camp. And then the two young kids are going to be good players. I'm excited about Jamon and Smile. They're both going to be very big roles on special teams and have bright futures. Smile is very intelligent and has been a surprise this camp. Whether or not he gets a snaps in an inside backer is yet to be seen based on the other guys, but he's certainly talented enough, and he's a very good special teams player.